Willkommen bei Energie der Zukunft, der Batterie-Podcast von BOS.
Hi, my name is Seckinger. I'm CEO of BOS Balance of Storage Systems AG, and I'm very happy to welcome you to another episode of our podcast series that we are recording. Actually, it's the first time that we record a series in English. And the reason for that is that we are right now in Addis Ababa, the capital of Ethiopia, for a very nice event for the handover of one of the projects that we successfully accomplished or finished here in Ethiopia. I'm not alone, obviously. My guests are there as well. I'm very happy to introduce you to our guests. Let me first do a brief introduction to Veeresh. Veeresh, he's part of our team, one of the core people. He's been with BOS for almost 10 years now. And he's been our project manager for that project from our side. He's been in constant touch with our local partner, Energie, over the last 3 years. And I would like to hand over now to Rekik for a brief introduction about herself and about Green Energy before we then dive into the project itself.
Yeah. My name is Rekik Bekele. I am the founder and shareholder and the CEO of Green Energy PLC. Green Energy is established in 2016 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. We are focusing on availing affordable and reliable energy for Ethiopian off-grid communities. Here with me is Biniam Tufa, who is also a very key part of Green team. He is actually became a year ago a shareholder of Green Energy PLC. Biniam, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you so much, Rekik, and thank you, Ben and Veeresh, for having me. So, my name is Biniam. I'm Deputy CEO of Green Energy. I was involved in this project starting from the inception as engineering manager, and then now I'm leading the company as a Deputy CEO. Great.
So I would like to start with the first question to Veeresh, maybe some context from my side about the project. So we talk about a quite big project. We electrified 5 regions in Ethiopia. It's a project that's been managed by GSF and funded mostly by Ethiopian Union funds in close cooperation with the Ministry of Water and Energy in Ethiopia. We also get support from many other stakeholders, but those were the key players. Yeah, right now also getting supported from dena, Renewable energy program for market entry. So that's the rough scope. And Veeresh, could you give some more details about the project, about the details?
Yeah.
Or what's the scope of the project?
So basically, there were 5 sites in total that needed to be electrified totally off-grid, which had around 400 connections, including both household as well as commercial, across 5 sites together. And one of the site, which is largest one, was almost 1,500 to 2,000 connections. So that was, let's say, almost 50% of the overall project size. And out of 5 sites, 2 were the same village itself, divided into 2 different sites. And then 3 sites were in Oromia, 1 in Konso state, and 1 more in Somali. So total 5 sites. In total, we installed around 680 kilowatt peak of solar, around 1.4 megawatt hours of batteries. And the scope of BOS was design, engineering, procurement, installation of solar system, as well as install also smart meters at each household. So in this project, we have very good technology on also smart, on metering side of the project, where we have prepaid meters which are digital, remotely controlled, and you can have various business models around implemented on these meters. So all of this was in the scope of BOS. What was not in the scope of BOS is the transmission itself. So taking the power from the inverter system to the households itself. This was under the scope of GIZ and the local utility itself.
I see. So basically, as already mentioned, it takes many stakeholders at getting it done. So BOS focusing on design and technology, also know how to transfer. Exactly, the Green Energy focusing on all of the local arrangements, installation, really. Get us very logistics, etc. We talk about that. It's and then there's also the local utility involved who's been building up the grid itself. So all in all, we are now powering to 4,000 households. Yeah, we're so far. What was their source of energy so far?
Pretty much diesel generators.
Diesel or no access at all.
Yes. Commercial applications were mostly powered with diesel generators. For instance, one of the site now has around 38 kilowatt of water pump, which was totally powered by a diesel generator so far. As an example, I mean, there are many more such examples. For instance, flour mills, carpenters.
I think we get into that later on because there's this key later on in managing the system, also managing it on a profitable way. And we'll talk about that later. Let me first hand over to the local team, to Rekik and Biniam. Veeresh already mentioned that the project's been situated in different parts of Ethiopia. Maybe you can give us an idea of what does that mean. I obviously understand Ethiopia is big, but maybe you can give us an idea and also tell us on that example what's actually challenges going along with that different areas.
Yeah. One of the uniqueness of this project is even though, they have the same arrangement, the same inverters, the same batteries, but the uniqueness is the location of the project. We have unique challenges in every part of the sites. For instance, one of the sites is located in Oromia, which is around 680 kilometers from Addis, and of which 280 kilometers completely off-road.
Can you give us an idea? How long does it take to get there? Because 600 kilometers on German standard means 4 hours. If we go 200 on the highway.
These 280 kilometers, it needs almost 1 full day to reach to the site. And some of the roads that we used it for the first time. So it's very difficult especially to travel to Manson Parade. And the other site is located in Somali region, which is Kurtale, which is around 140 kilowatt peak system. That area is, it's very deserted area, which is around 104 kilometers from the capital. It's very remote, and we used to travel in sand roads, so that we get stuck in sands and we need to go out and dig and start travel. So it's very difficult and challenging areas because of their uniqueness in their location. Yeah.
Maybe to add on that, where Kurtale is about 1,200 kilometers from the capital city. As Biniam said, it's one of the hottest area, compared to, like, how many degrees centigrade is it?
Almost 40 degrees centigrade.
It gets 40 degrees centigrade. We see, they send us a photo of them really sweating, but it was really, in the end, it's always they are very grateful for the experience that they are having. I myself was traveling, last weekend to the site in Oborso. So the 280 kilometers almost took us 9 hours to get there. And on our way, we also got stuck in a kind of muddy place, but also sandy place. So it was really funny for me to see, we just went out as a normal thing. Biniam was like, got off and it's like, let's take it out, let's put some stone. It was like, it is a normal process. It's not like, we've got a challenge and we're gonna do something, what are we gonna do? It's not like a questionable thing. He just stepped out and we all got out and then just trying to help the vehicle, and the driver was also like, we just got out. This was our first experience because the road was fine this time because it's currently it's not raining season in that area. When it's rainy season, the road is so scary. You get stuck in a lot of places. And to add on that, on one of our first trip, actually our vehicle, which drove from Addis, got stuck in between.
Was this the bug with all of the components, or was this the T? Because I also think it's a big challenge to get all of the materials to science. A lot of PV modules, battery modules, etc.
This time was just the team. So he got stuck in the middle of nowhere. So they had to take about 5 days for it to get another vehicle to go and pick it up, bring it to the, somewhere in the city to get it checked. It just took the whole other logistical process, which we had to stop our main operation and then, deal with that. And we had to send another car. Actually, that car has to go through lots of processes because there were quite big problems with it. So some of this experience are actually unique, but at the same time, the team is quite used to it. And it's become okay, this is our job. It's not we have got a challenge, let's stop the work. It has never been like that.
My understanding was that it was not only a challenge with the bumpy roads, but there's also some safety and security concerns in several parts of the country, and we're also in areas where we did projects. How was that affecting the project?
Yeah, I think another uniqueness of doing this project is we do it in several challenges, and we accomplished it in a very nice way. One of the challenges was the security issue, especially in Oromia sites. So the plan was we were planning while we do the project planning in initial stage, we are planning asphalty road, which has only around 100 kilometers off-road, but that road was fine comparing to the ones that we used to travel. So we forced to change our original route to this route because of the security issue on that route. It was blocked and it was very difficult. And I remember that we also used, while we constructed the buildings, we need to transport hollow blocks from nearby areas. But, due to the security concern, the road was blocked. So, and on the nearby village, we couldn't able to get this hollow block. So we forced to get and transport it from 400 kilometers. This hollow block, a simple thing. And that was the uniqueness of the project due to the security challenge. One of, I think, pillar for doing such activities in remote areas is, being familiar with the local communities, understanding their culture, the way of communication. And later we become a friend, and he was the one who was protecting the site even. He visited every morning, he visits to the site and ask for the challenge and try to engage with the local elders, the community elders, if we have any challenges. So
You just mentioned two of the key success factors. I think one success factor is that we work together very closely, because all the work that you did can only be done by you. Like, it wouldn't be possible if someone from Germany was traveling there. We couldn't even get that lead. So I think this is one of the key success factors, the close cooperation, which worked very well. But another key success factor is the involvement of the community and really getting aligned with it. And as you just mentioned, with this one person. But I think there's been more activities going on as well with the communities. How did you actually involve them? Because for that, it must be like orchid sites coming to their sites. They also need to get an understanding of what's actually going on. But how was that done?
Yeah, I mean, community engagement is one of the key part when you do any project in especially off-grid rural community. And from the beginning, to start with how the community supported us, especially, let me start with by thanking the Gera community in Konso. It is a very slopey road. In addition to that, our team is partly the first one who drove into that road. So there was no road actually. So the community had to make a road.
So they were building a road for you guys?
For us to get in. They're not building like a concrete road, but but yes. We would share with you how many people were
almost 800. 800. Yes, they mobilized, yes.
Yes. 800 people came out singing. They were paving all the way so that our vehicle trucks, especially for the goods, can go in to drop his stuff. So that is not possible with our team.
Yeah. You can't hire 800 people.
Can't hire 800 people.
Yeah.
So it's they did that. They did it immediately so that our team can go And there was not a question of like pay us or something. That this is coming for us is like what they were saying. So with that is how we are able to go deliver the project and so on. That's one of the community involvement. The second one is you always need a hand to support you on the project. The third one is they need to own it. Otherwise, it's always problematic. You get there to deliver a project, but you just stay 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, and then you're not delivering if they are not cooperative with you. So community engagement is always really a key. So of course, GIZ and of course Ministry of Water and Energy, they did quite good job to introduce us to the community. That's how you go in to the regional government. They write you a letter, and then you have the Warada, which is the district office. Then from that to the smallest, the Kavale, they connect you. You go through them, and they introduce with us the people. But the rest is our team's work. They have to really engage us. Simply the Somali, the Kurtale side is an example. That guy has turned into a nice person to the project and helping the project itself is because they, in the end, they had to resolve. It took, I think, 2-3 days to resolve that issue. After they got beaten, we really, you had to get involved. Yeah. So it's like we had to communicate with the regional bureaus. You haven't done a good job to introduce us or to clear the person to have its land and so on. So yeah, that community engagement is a key, and that's to start with the project. And then in the end, the community owns the project, especially through cooperative business model.
So this is one thing that's also special about that. Maybe we talk about that a bit later. Let's first focus a bit more on installation, and then we come to operation.
Yeah.
During installation, you guys have been trained in the initial phase with the help of us. But actually, it's important to me to also transmit the message that it's not like we are coming and training you. It's more working together. Because that's, to me, one of the key experiences that I do when I go on site. There's so much that actually we also learn from you, from your installation teams. But it's been a very good cooperation. And then you were taking over all of the installations yourself with your local team. Or how did that work?
It was pretty nice, and I think one of the good work is the teamwork. Every team member of our team and your team was, hand in hand and do the first installation together. Especially, actually, not the first installation, a few parts of the project, and it was quite good and amazing. Then we installed the systems, and we tested and checked, even commissioned later. So it went well, I think.
What was it like? Because one of the team members that we sent, called Tim, it was his first visit to Africa.
Yes.
And I saw videos of him. He was taking selfie videos. He was very proud and very happy. But what was that like? Was it good to see for him to emerge into completely different culture?
Yeah. So the Chinese was he need to drive with motorcycles because he came on monsoon season, and the road was blocked.
Okay.
Yes, no car access. So I think he traveled around 20 kilometers by motorcycles.
Okay.
And there was no any place to stay. So
Where did you stay?
So we arranged the health sector's compound. So he brought tents and sleeping bags, and he used to sleep on the health sector compound. Yeah.
And what was the interaction like with the local people? Like, did you have food together? Or
Yes. I think he quite enjoyed the foods.
Ethiopian.
In the first time, it was very challenging because he had some stomach ache. It was the food
Takes time to get very used to.
Yes, different foods. But later he adapted to, tried to adapt to the culture, the foods and everything. But it was quite challenging for him also, I'd say. But I think that's very interesting to see that CB also opened their horizon. But the good thing is there was a fusion between your team and our team, and there is no as such huge cultural gaps. And that time our team was one of the engineering team lead was Ngedao. He's quite familiar with such activities. So he tried to Germany before. He knew German culture. So he was supporting him a lot, and yeah, so that's why I think he did the activities quite nicely.
I think one of the key nicest thing of this project was we owned the response together, the whole project. Like it was not like, okay, this is hardware, this is BOS topic. They won't be trying to solve issues with it. So we were, let's say, one team and not two companies. That was one key thing in this. Otherwise, we would not have managed to install it.
Yeah, I think just to add on the team aspect, yeah, we did as like the whole BOS and Green Scene team. It wasn't like that. We are like the one who's doing the thing. So it's like even when something happens, it's like to protect you. We think as you, and we protect.
It's not just BOS and GSC, it's BOS plus GSC. That was the key. That worked really well.
Really well, yeah.
Yeah, I myself also most of the time fight and answer,
And so that you also understand is usually what I get from other contractors or like partners perspective is like, okay, we're gonna come and train you and give you a technology and you install it. That's like how people come, usually from, the European countries, as if like they know better.
Yeah.
But that's probably what they are perceiving. But our local team is actually, we have very, very good engineers who was trained, who knows the local, you need to have the know-how of how to do it in Ethiopia. That's good. Even though not the logistics part, even the technical aspects. So some of our teams are really senior doing this for a long time. It could be a new technology that they can read. They are engineers. They are really good engineers. So Ingrid is one of them. Of course, Biniam as well. And we have many other engineers who probably need to know our office culture only. So what I would like to tell you as well is like not only these 5 projects, which is really a very good introduction for our partnership, but even though bigger projects in Ethiopia, we have lots of engineers who are actually quite good. They always need training to, as I said, to know the culture. Just like Engedu, knowing a German culture by just being the training, working with German people, but also even visiting, Germany, has a big exposure to get connected immediately, to understand what you're saying, just to even communicate. But other than that, we have really disciplined and very good engineers that really helped us for our success of the project. So that you don't have to be here. Your team does not need to be here. Yeah, it makes the project expensive. One, secondly,
Delays things a lot.
Yes.
So you need to be.
Yes, the remote communication was really effective and working well, I guess.
I actually called a nice sentence of you yesterday, Earl. I think you mentioned to Biniam that you've been talking more to Biniam than to your wife.
Actually, his wife had to go and visit him and stay there for a month. Incredibly, yes. They missed each other so much. Yeah.
Okay, so basically we'll still focus on the installation workers with all challenges, logistics, etc. But in the end, it worked well. Then the systems were commissioned. And for commission, we also were receiving again for the first sites. We did the commission together. Again, it was hand in hand, helping each other. And then you finished the commissioning of the other sites. Now we are at the stage at which the project was being handed over. Could you tell us some details about your visit last weekend? Also now that the energy is there. What's your experience?
The experience was really amazing. For me, So you go to the Oborso sites for the immigration and meet people, talk to people, and see like, oh, is it really, what is it changed for you? Especially, one guy, actually, we probably recorded him by coincidence. Someone was taking a picture and they went to record it from the jazz FM. He was saying how the community is really like awakened because of the project. Previously, what was they using? Diesel generator was for businesses, but for the household, it's kerosene lamp. They use kerosene lamp as a main light. They also use, some lanterns or battery hand torches. That's the available thing is kerosene lamp and firewood. Okay. The area is very. You pass through some a forest area, actually a natural reserve area, and they start cut. They're already using firewood, but now it's changing because they are aspiring into cooking, lighting, TV, radio, mobile charging. Everything is available in their home, in their hand. That's one, and it created a lot of jobs, both helping the whole project to start with until now. But also continuing the project is they have incorporated a cooperative who has, key power users, plus, of course, like normal households who are involved in the cooperative, who are managing the whole system. Because in ideal scenario, the business model of this mini grid is, shall I continue with this business model? The ideal scenario, the business model for this mini grid is the project to be handed over to the community cooperatives, who has like a finance person, a technician, and a manager of the whole site. And of course, also for safety factor, they have also guards. So these people are going to collect the budget from the posters from the community, and ideally they pay for the maintenance, they pay for the whole stuff, and they run it for the big.
That's also quite unique approach. So it's cooperatives managing is planning the system.
Yeah.
It's also based on commercial not use, obviously, but this way they can make money to pay for repair works or whatever is needed. Was these committees traits as well, like all the technical and commercial terms, or how did that look?
So ideally, they're trained both in technical and commercial terms. We did the technical training, and the technician has been actually luckily they were involved from the beginning of the project because they were supporting our team. So we recruited technicians who has gone into technical training from that area to get involved in our team. So they supported us from the beginning until the end. So they know what is it, how it's working, and so on. In fact, what was the success of Oborso was 2 of the technicians that we used there, we later used them in Kurtule project. So they traveled from here to Kurtule because Kurtule have shortage of technicians. So instead of us taking from Addis, which is the convenient one, we thought like these guys would get more exported, and they also got value to themselves. They were very, very happy that they get another exposure. Of course, they get paid as well. So they traveled from Oborso East all the way to Kurtule. They did the work from installing the solar panels up to the battery rooms and so on, and they came back. Now they got employment, full-time employment from the cooperatives. So in that way, it's sustainable. So of course, there are like engineering things that they might not be able to still solve, which we have seen it in our recent communication. So it created a job, a sustainable job. But also my exposure with this inauguration was, when people came, like when they got prepared the sites for the inauguration, it was so amazing. They, you can see that they're happy because they prepared, big tents, really beautifully designed, They put out lots of meals, and people were dressed and came to celebrate with us. And it was really a nice thing. The officials came with a helicopter. That makes the news even bigger because that site probably had few cars. Now they're having like a helicopter coming to visit the sites, and it also for them it's like, oh, this is so important, that must be so important. Like it was important for them, but like I think the project became really huge, and the news were like everywhere because a helicopter was coming, because the whole village was out, and to see the helicopter, children were like running around, like so excited. So the news were like 50 kilometers traveled. By the time we came back from Oborso site to Bekele, was saying like, oh, your site has been inaugurated already. Helicopter came, So yeah, the community was really, really happy. You see people, maybe you can describe about what changed in terms of economical activities. In the households, you can see the slide, and you can see, the distribution lines all the way through. And it's like, oh, this is our project. It's so touching to see people getting the feeling.
I think as these commercial changes made it, and I almost also told a real story about access to water, about that changed a lot. So this is still one also on that. But what is access to water changing? So what is it like without the access to water? Why is it?
Yeah, I think it's better to start with how I get the site for the first time, and then I will continue to the changes. During my first visit, I was like thinking that I was going to hail because the roads, the roads and everything what I see was different than what I experienced before. It was very difficult, and then I traveled to see one village which is nearby to Oborso, and I was thinking that where am I going to? And it was very shocking for me because I was thinking bad comparing to the nearest village. Then I go to the site and I saw them. So they are like doing activities. They were struggling because their activity was they have cash crops and they have the money, but they don't have any access and means to use electricity and water. Then we built the project, and immediately after we commissioned and they see the first light, the community is like buying, milling, having juice house, even they have bar, and we saw it with one of the videos that we shared. They were like singing all the nights in the bar also. So this access to water also, changing their lives. Previously, I had to even myself drink river water.
Yeah,
that's the one that they used to drink. Now they have access to clean water, and we see smile on the face of children and elderly peoples, and it means a lot even for women and girls. They have more time to spend on their studies because they used to travel a lot to get river water also. So it's mean a lot.
I think also regarding access to water, they had a water access, a well, which was coming to some of the villages, but once
3 months, I think.
3 times a month.
Yeah.
Using the diesel generator. See, now, the power is there. That's what we said. Increasing, yeah, it's the power is there with them. So they have the sunshine, the water pumps all the time. So they have it through the tap that they had it previously for the 3 times a month. Now they can also access it. This is in one of the sites. The other sites, they also have big well, which used to, when they migrated the first one. Also during the migration, one of the statement was actually visiting the water site as well. So it was really big well, but it's always closed because of power issues. Regarding the diesel generators, what we need to know is it's not like a diesel generator that you can have in your house. It could be the same technology, but accessing the diesel itself is a nightmare, because as we just mentioned, the nearest town where you could have a diesel is 280 kilometers. You have to come. Traveling that distance has its own cost, its own time, and by the time it gets there, the diesel triples. The
Cost of diesel.
cost of diesel triples, but also accessing it, you won't access it all the time. So while you're driving, you will see like a big barrel, blue barrel on villages where they show you that if you see that, which means there is a diesel, it's like a Total or some oil company. It's like you just see a barrel of blues and you knock to the door and say like, do you have a diesel? And they say, yes. And they give you, that's like 3 times the cost of the amounts that you get. So by the time they get it, it gets also dirty because they use oil
Better.
oil ballers and this,
Vegetable oil.
yeah, so like the fats doesn't get clean. So they used it as vehicles because
That's when
it's finished.
we broke our.
Yeah, because there's an option. You have to use that one sometimes. Otherwise, it's 280 kilometers to get your car to the nearest location. So yeah, so they use that diesel into the diesel generator. So maintenance of the diesel is also a headache. So once it's broken, I think that's the big one. And the big water was, I think the diesel was broken probably. So like once it's broken, someone to come and fix it is really a nightmare. So
this is the war of the outages of the bus systems. Because the sun is there. So once you have installed infrastructure, you get rid of all of this logistic, but that's it. And if, like you did, if you trade the community well and the cooperative, they can also manage to do the basic maintenance work, the panels, etc. And I think one other big advantage is that you don't have any moving components in a solar system. And if it's not moving, that the likeliness that it breaks is way low.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah. These are like the little things that you see that solar power brings you, apart from actually replacing something or like just bringing power to a community, then they got power. But what were they using before is actually quite expensive and challenging. You know, kerosene lamp, it doesn't mean like it's free. Of course, it's dirty, it's polluting, and it's also dangerous to lots of rural households. Yes, I have lots of experiences, you know, in the rural areas, like a kerosene lamp actually burning the whole house with a baby, a child inside it. So it's like people experiencing this. Safety is really a big issue. So, you know, I feel, for me, it's like I feel when I read a book for my children in the evening, it's like a huge privilege. I only know that because I know that there is someone who's scared of breathing in the evening because like it could be a fire risk.
Yeah.
That kerosene lamp fades down, that's like key of their household. So it's like you see all of these things changing by just bringing our projects, of course. Yeah.
one thing that also struck me yesterday in our discussion is that these were the changes on a local level, on the household level, and on business level, which are obviously very important. But these are all the foundation for bigger changes in the whole community. You mentioned that even the whole community changed, that it got bigger. Can you elaborate a bit on that?
Yeah. You know, while we start the project, that village was very small. You know, political administration was very small, and it was in every district level. And when we start the project, and they have got, you know, road, the government is building road connectivity because of that project.
Okay.
And they see the relevance of that project to the community, and they added one project that connected them with the nearby village, and they got promoted to Warada district, and they encompass different small districts, and they become big because they have, you know, electricity, and they become
Better healthcare.
they have better health care, and people are coming to the village from the nearby small villages, and they become big. And it's really changes the way of this. Yes. If this all power, power changes everything. They have
Any
there.
changed on access to information now? Like
Yes.
people, because now they have televisions, they can watch news and get informed about what's happening in the country, which I guess otherwise they have no idea what's happening, right?
Yeah. So when we started the project, it was like, there was small houses and it's dispersely spread the place. Yes. But now people are coming from the nearby and bought land and build houses because they have good health care. They have, even the food systems. They have milk houses, clean water, and they have a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it is like, it's one thing that we need to know is the community is not poor in terms of, having a land, and they also have good productivity in that area. With all these challenges, we know they don't have the water, for example, coming with irrigation all the time, but it's very fertile area. So they have the cash, but the way it's done is really very, very differently. So as soon as this project comes, for example, Oborso West, they have now 2 mills running, right? They want 2 mills to run. And both people bought the mill and they just wanted to be on it, on the power, because they have money. They want to do business. Meal is like one of our main basic thing in our lives, day-to-day lives. People start from your day-to-day food in Jera, for example. You start by buying the seeds, even in Addis. You choose the seeds, and then you take it to the meat house. See, and then after the meat houses, you bring it to process it in your house. So it's like that is like one of the main business for any community, basic business. So it's like 2 people brought in, both plug in. So now the challenge is like, is the power enough now? Yeah. So they're talking about, okay, shall we shift one of the meal person to the next house, the next site, because Oborso East is a bit bigger, or shall we give power one day to this meal person and the next day to the, that kind of business model talk is now exists. It's a different level of conversation than previously when there was nothing.
Yeah. I think I want to add something here. So when we started the project, and there was no any professional carpenters, and what I see is they have built a big wood workshop. They construct sofa, they manufacture sofa, tables, and everything, which is like similar to the one that's Nadis. This is really amazing. And I remember that while we construct the buildings, we couldn't able to get the mechanical doors and windows, and we have to travel to 60 kilometers to nearby village with electricity access. So we manufactured it there, and it was marathon time, so we couldn't able to have a bigger trucks to transport the materials. So we used to have motorbikes. We used, I think, 6 motorbikes to transport that door to the side. And now they have big manufacturing workshop,
Yeah. I think in general, because of these challenges, the project was initially planned to get installed and commissioned in 6 months, but it ended up stretching to more than 1.5 years now, just because of the challenges locally here. What takes usually what was planned for one day takes a week probably, right?
The rewarding thing now is that basically we didn't only give power to the futures, we actually empower.
Yes.
Because now they can do off these different, and as you mentioned, there was money there, but they really, if they wanted to spend it, they had to pay way too much for very, very bad quality of services, and now they can access way better services for less money. So the whole thing is actually low.
Yeah, was worth it. I mean, the challenges overall, if we see now the impact, that the time we spent on this was totally worth it.
So what do you think is the main points now that must work out in the next years to come to stay successful? I already heard that potentially they will more and more energy. So obviously the system is designed for a certain size. So at some point there might be limitations coming in from the system size. but obviously also all of that community engagement and all of the corporative stuff must work. So what do you think is the key for further success in the next month and years to come for these projects?
Yeah, I think now the project is there, the people are accepting it, they know how key for their progress is. The next thing is, of course, they are all new to this huge technology. We are able to monitor it from remotely, of course, but they still need support from the technical perspective. Of course, something that our engineers can do, they cannot do yet. You can train up to a certain level the technicians, but not totally 100%. So it's a big system, and it needs a care. So my hope is like if they could still get the support from us so that they can run the system really sustainably. It always needs maintenance, not big maintenance, but like maintenance and care until at least the next 5 years or so. Until we get some engineers become staying in that villages. It will be once it's becoming a bigger village, more young people will be interested to stay there. Definitely there are, of course, university students who come up from that village that like once they are graduated, there's no job opportunity for them to stay there previously. That from now onwards, there will be. So they will be able to maintain it in the next, let's say, 4 years, 5 years time. But at the moment, for the next, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, if they get a support from our team, or like similarly other team, like professional companies, that system will really be working. And they believe a technology can really change. Otherwise, they are not so excited. Imagine if something happens and breaks and no one's fixing it. That changes the whole opinion of people like, oh, solar gas, all of that thing, all of that time spent is now not working with a simple thing. So it's also teaching a lesson. It's partly it's like a pilot project for that community. So if it works, people will invest more money. I mean, the cooperative will have money. They are able to extend even when they need more power. They are able to pay for it. Because as I said, money is not the problem. The problem is we making sure that all this challenge has been passed to be able to extend the energy for the community. So yeah, that if they get support from this technical perspective, the cooperative, I think, is able to handle the projects by themselves. I mean, lead and manage the project.
Yeah, that smells excellent. I think we're coming to the end of our session. Is there any point that you would like to conclude? Any things that you think is the key essence of this project?
You can continue. Let me just say, basically, I really would like to thank BOS as our partner, because talking about these challenges, it has also cost implication and time implication. That was understood by your team. Otherwise, what is all this cost? Why is it taking this time? Why are you not doing it? Because that level of understanding was really necessary. And I really like to thank both of you and, as a member of your team, understanding this. This was our key part of this project success, like making sure that transparency is there, and then just be in the other person's shoes was really one of the success of the project. And Veeresh, you really did a very good job to do this. Thank you. Maybe a message to your people who might be interested in coming into Ethiopia. Ethiopia is all electrified only 50%. The remaining part is off-grid. When we say that about 65 million people still don't have access to any means of electricity. They are using, at the moment, kerosene lamp. Institutions are having really difficulties. I know that about nearly 25,000 health centers are not electrified yet. So infrastructure is like really a big problem, especially electricity infrastructure. So anyone who would like to come and do projects or businesses in Ethiopia in off-grid sector, Ethiopia is really open for it at the moment. The government is planning to have full electricity access by 2030. So for that, I think we need a lot of cooperation. So anyone who would like to come into Ethiopia, we would like to partner and do more projects for electricity access in Ethiopia.
Thanks a lot. So maybe I just try to conclude. So I think there's 2 or 3 key factors here. So one, you can describe as going from global to local, because there's been partners involved on a global level, unlike European Union, etc. And then, as you described very well, we were going more and more local. So we were basically going through Germany, through the cooperation with you guys in Ethiopia, all the way to the village and handing it over all the way down to village now. I think this is one of the key things to mention. And obviously, along with that goes the close cooperation and the understanding of both sides for the other side and the support of each other and learning on both sides. I think this is key. And next to that, despite of all of the challenges, there's also a lot of fun. And it's very rewarding, in particular if you see now the results. So I think that's been great. Also, very big thanks from our side, from the US side, to Green Energy, to Rekik Bekele, the 2 of you, also to Edina. I think it's been big pleasure, and we hope that we can do many other projects together. And to conclude on that, thanks for the session we had here. It's a great pleasure talking to you. Looking forward to many projects in the future. With that, I'm actually closing the podcast. But thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon. By the way, there is also a very interesting project video, which I would recommend you to watch. This was done by a local production company. It's done in a very nice way, and I think it can transmit very well what is the real impact that project is having on the people. So please refer to the link in the bio of this video and enjoy the video. Thanks for watching.
Das war Energie der Zukunft, der Batterie-Podcast von BOS. Vielen Dank fürs Zuhören. Bei Fragen zu unseren Projekten oder auch zur Technologie bitte gerne mich jederzeit auf LinkedIn kontaktieren. Ich freue mich, wenn Sie das nächste Mal wieder zuschalten. Bis dahin, alles Gute.